So life's gotten a little bit too complicated and time-consuming lately to do very much video work. So I've got to do it. I've got to do the video work this way occasionally. So what should we talk about today? Let's talk about the new significant thing in our life that we can identify with a lot of other people, and look at it in a counseling manner. Look at it in a value introspection manner. So people everywhere have dogs. In fact, people probably have more dogs now than ever, I would think, judging from what you see. So we got a dog. 13 years. The whole family kind of had to be willing and giving for daughter to get a dog, because we don't have room in our life for it. We don't have the time and the energy to take care of that. We don't have the finances. We don't have the physical room. We don't have the long-term commitment. It's probably not good for my daughter, because especially if she goes into showbiz at all, she could be away for long periods of time, and who's going to take care of it but probably us. And you know, with the way the world is, it's so hard for people to make a living these days. Having the commitment to a dog makes it much more difficult, because they can't be as free as they need to be for their careers and different things like that. So it's probably a dumb thing to do. But I look at it as it's also, for us at least, that take everything very seriously and think everything through. But at the same time, don't think everything through, because they allow a lot for faith and giving, the spirit of giving, and belief that things will work out, not to worry about things. And that's what we chose to do finally after 13 years, is say, okay, we're going to take a big leap and have this dog. So we had it, and within the first 5 days, it was obvious to everyone involved that a greater joy from the vacuum that we had going beforehand was not ever seen. Obviously, my daughter had the vacuum because she'd always wanted the dog. But we had to have vacuum as well. And that vacuum, when we first got out to California, was filled with skateboarding and going around to the beach and different things that we like to do. Spending time with my friends, doing things I like to do. And the kids, all kinds of new opportunities, jazz band, all kinds of different friends, all kinds of different things. But then we stopped doing quite as much of those types of things. Partly because Anna only likes things when they're new, and after she's mastered them or gotten far enough along with it, she wants to try something else. And partly because of the obligations of school, from grade school to junior high school and finally into high school, have gotten so much greater. And we can't even take off and take cruises like we did over in Florida as much, because the truants officers are on these kids like crazy. And why? Well, because everything out here operates on money. If a school misses a day of a student, they don't get a certain amount of fee. So they don't collect that fee. They're you know, that's how they police everything. Everything's done with money. So it's made it really hard for our life. We don't have Grammy and Grampy here. They're in Florida, so we don't get any time where we leave the kids with them. We can leave the kids at home now because Matt can drive, but we live in a remote area that if there was an emergency, or if there's some kind of a thing where they had to get out because of a fire or earthquake or something like that, it'd be really difficult. Sometimes the road gets tied up if there's an accident or something like that. So we're a little concerned about leaving them there. And we don't really have money to go out and do our own things anyway. Right now, because we're really pushing to try to serve these kids and make sure that they're going to see a good way into college and the rest of their life. And so we got this dog. And after about 5 days, we saw that he already had parvo when we got him, which is a really bad flu type thing. And we didn't think he was going to make it. We checked him into the vet and the hospital and everything. And about the third day, it looked like he wasn't going to make it at all. And then the fourth day, he came back, started rebuilding. That was a real big deal, because the sorrow of the whole family was really huge. Well, now he's back. We're thrilled, and he was thrilled. Everything's right with the world, right? But let's not forget, we got to take up where we left off. It's going to be hard, and it is hard. We got to find some way to get things accomplished. We got to find some way to have this new thing in our life that distracts us and takes away, even though he gives. And we got to try to do better. That's the hard thing. So I thought today, to make this a valuable lesson, we'd say to ourselves, well, why do people need dogs? I'd like to tie that in with a very unlikely subject. Why are people more into all kinds of crazy things these days? Why are morals suffering? Why are people into whatever can titillate them? You know, we have drugs, we have tattoos, we have sexual deviance types of things going on. When I say deviance, I mean deviance from the accepted norm. Nobody really knows what the norm is. But within my lifetime, I've seen a huge slide, what you could call a slide, into a different place with the common populace. And I've seen a lot more dogs in people's lives. I think people are reaching out for comforts. They're reaching out for titillations. They're not reaching out for meaning. They're reaching out for pacification of all kinds. And a dog is one of the ways. Now, we can see even in our own life how that pacification works, because we've had it firsthand now. Now, when I was a child, I had a dog, but there was a different world. I didn't need pacification. So the dog was just, hey, that's cool, I got a dog, that's kind of neat. But now I can see how so many people have dogs. They can't handle the world as it's coming at them. And the dog kind of is like an equalizer. A lot of people even get what they call service dogs now, because they've got to have it in order to cope. The dog has to give that pacification in order for them to cope. Well, I can understand what that is. But we're not going to... Conscious Counseling 101, we don't go and gravitate towards pacification and abandon introspection. No. We look at what's happening and we gain insights from it. So on this chapter of this month, what I'd like to talk about is, why is this happening? Why are people looking for more and more pacification? Why are people so unhappy and so anxiety prone? I'd like to introduce what I think the cause is first, and then we can talk about understanding. One of the things about Conscious Counseling 101 is, first you create the resolution instantly, like a waveform canceling out another waveform, and then you spend the rest of the time explaining to yourself why you've done it and why you accept it. So you get immediate gratification, you get immediate mental and physical and spiritual healing, but you don't know how you got it. You convince yourself of the perspective needed to make that happen. Well then, where did your energy go? It's not a long process going towards healing and getting somewhere. You're already there. So your energy goes to explaining to yourself how you got there, why you allowed for this, why this is justifiable, why it makes sense, why does God give us this ability. And there's where your energy goes. So you don't wait, and you don't go to a person and pay them a lot of money, and you don't say, heal me, make me better, make me see. When you come to see the light, you can see instantaneously, sort of as Jesus healed the sick. You can see instantaneously, but you might not understand that scene. Like, for instance, I'd like to go to one of Jesus' teachings. When he touched the blind man's eyes, the first time he opened his eyes, he said, I see what looks like trees walking around. So even when he was first seen, he didn't know what he was seeing. And then he touched them again, and he could see. I'd like to say that, in a way, that's what I'm talking about. When you take your Conscious Counseling 101 approach, and you instantly transform yourself, transform your look. It's like knocking on the door is open, you walk through. Your look is transformed, but you don't know what that transformation really means. So now, instead of waiting for the transformation, waiting for the long haul through life, you get the transformation instantaneously. Well, where does the energy go? What does that mean? It means you spend the rest of your life, or however long it takes, understanding that transformation and what it means, verifying itself for you, making it real. It's kind of like the Oracle when she was talking with, in the Matrix. You make a choice first, and then you come to understand that choice. Conscious Counseling 101 is very much like that. And one of the reasons why people are making the choice today to take on dogs and have pacification is because introspection is right out the window. It's very difficult for people to believe that they need anything or can do anything for themselves or are hurt or broken in any way, because there are so many things in the world today that cause them to be stimulated and cause their mind to interact with things, cause them to think about things. There are so many ways and capacities that they can pacify themselves and get by, and they're constantly learning new things, they think, or they feel that they are, and being exposed to new things, and they think, wow, this is wondrous, this is a wondrous world. And look at me, I'm able to experience it. I've got my thumbs on my little pads there, typing away. I can access anything I want. Surely everything must be as it's supposed to be. Surely these great phenomenons going on in this wonderful created world that I have in front of me that stimulate me and pacify me and at the same time and engage me, and my ability to be engaged means that I'm whole, and I'm whole, you know, I'm healthy and wholesome, and I have everything I need. I don't need to look anywhere for anything. I don't need to be introspective and look inside. I just need to find whatever I need to take my mind off my woes, which may be very often financial, or they could be extreme emotional woes, extreme insecurity. They could be woes which have to do very much with the afterlife and what is the meaning of life and where will I end up and what does it mean and how would I know that, and should I put my faith in man and the teachings of various religions in order to accumulate that, or should I walk away? Should I walk away from all that because man has been shown more and more and more to have failed those that would follow him? Of course, we know in Jesus' teachings we're not to put our faith in man. So there again, that problem of putting faith in man caused that in the first place. But people more and more are thinking, I've got the whole world in my hands. Like for instance, I have a friend that's very heavy. He's got the whole internet. He can barely do his job because he can't even walk really well without pain anymore. He's got a job. He's got a home. He's got the internet. He's got his small things that he works with. They completely give him what he needs. And they've enabled him to become hobbled. This is the way the world is today. Even if you don't have a weight issue, you become hobbled mentally because you're so into the things that are titillating you, and you're not into anything larger, any greater meaning, any titillation, anything that has anything to do with the meaning of life. And the dog is the same way. This is just a way for another being to be focused on that doesn't require introspection, but just requires fascination and interest and fun, and allows us to pacify ourselves without spending any great time on growth or understanding or spiritual enrichment or finding a way to make sense out of why the things in the world are happening the way they are. And this is where conscious counseling comes in. One of the things that I've found over the past 15 years is the most difficult thing to do in the world with counseling is to find somebody that comes to you and believes they need anything and wants to talk about anything, even if you offer your services for free as I do. Everybody's convinced they're solid, no matter how much they're suffering. I'll have people that'll talk to me about how they're suffering. I'll have people that'll talk to me about how depressed they are. I'll have people that'll talk to me and admit how crazy, whacked out ideas they have about things. And yet, when you talk to them with sound-based reasoning, they can't absorb it. They don't want it. They're locked in their little vortex. The way to reach somebody is so difficult because of all the pacification and all the stimulation things that they have, that you can't break through very easily. Because people have enough distractions that they can get through their difficulties in life. So this is what I'm encountering over and over again with conscious counseling, is people are just caught up. And having the dog, I can see that that happens. Now my daughter has both. She has the stimulation of the computer and the little phone things and all the things they do on there, and she has the pacification of the dog. She's a perfect model right in my whole household that I can study. But what can you do? In love, you have to give these people things. You have to care. If you can't do that, you're not worth anything to anybody anyway, including yourself. So in love, you have to allow for the tumultuous journey, even of those that you love. And you have to help guide them through and be there for them, so that when they start the tumultuous journey of their own lives, without you there, they'll hopefully have the tools they need. Now, most people don't. Most people learn how to be nice, learn how to get their way, learn how to be smart, shrewd, street smart, and get around things and adapt. But does that really give introspection? Does that really get you anywhere? It's like the cunning of an animal, the survival instinct. What's that going to do for you in your life meaning? What's that going to do for you in the way you develop yourself? Probably not very much. And that's what a lot of people are relying on. In the darkness, that's what's happening. It's a way to get by. It's a way to find your living, to buy your daily bread. It's in the darkness. There's not a lot of meaning. People are walking away from meaning in their lives and in their congregational lives with others in their life, in their experiences with the world and society. And this is happening because of some of the things I've listed here today. The pacification and stimulation. Now, I would like to say that in my personal belief, so much of this happens because of the fear of death. Now, there's whole books written on this subject alone. And what you do, a lot of people do, is they do whatever is necessary, because it can't be answered, to put it off and to not think about it, or to find some way to justify themselves that they're going to be taken past that or saved or whatever, and they don't pay a price for it. They just convince themselves whatever the way they need to, so that they don't have to worry about that and they can go on with life. And that's why so many people that say they serve and say they're, they follow the ways of a certain religion, don't really follow the ways of the certain religion, except for just by talking about it and gathering with others and quoting some things. But are they really doing it? My opinion is most of the people that say they're doing it, and still to this day, many people say that they believe in a God or believe in Christianity or whatever, but I don't find in my daily practice that I can find anybody that actually is serving. Now, very, very difficult for me to find anybody that's actually serving. In fact, some of the formalized churches I won't even take my children to, because the person that they say they serve, they're not emulating the teachings. And, how can this be? How can this be? Some of the things I'm talking about here today and unconscious counseling will show you. But you have to be willing to delve into it and look. Because if you start just listening to something I say or somebody else says, well, then you're guilty of putting your faith in man. So how do I speak with somebody? I do not speak with them as a listen to me. I say, go, think, find. This is the only way it can be. The knocking on the door has to come naturally, and the door will be opened. You can't have someone tell you and give it to you like a pill or some new age remedy or something like that. It has to be found in the traditional sense. And the traditional sense is so hard to find anymore because people are so wrapped up in all the crazy goings-ons. And the crazy goings-ons are once again for stimulation and pacification, and they're so that people can get off their minds the difficulties that they have that are plaguing them. Now I'd like to talk about politics. I would be a true conservative at heart, I think, if you could take the corruption out of it. But I can't see that you can. You have the initial land grab. You have the power of the corporations and capitalism. You have the ways of doing things set in the old ways until the power and money of the people who have run out, and you have the pittance of the trickle down that come to others because they offer them things in the form of employment. There are too many people in the world, the resources are being depleted, and we're having a more chaotic society now than ever before, and people don't have the means, unless they're really on the upper edge of like intelligence and ability, and really can hold down their life really well with good management capabilities and hunkering down way before things got too expensive and getting a home and having the things they need, or coming into a generation where people help them to gain those things. And it's very difficult for a person to not be a slave to society's ills. It's very difficult these days to get past all that. And so what you're doing is, because of politics and because of the continual corruption of the greedy giving to those huge power entities, what we've done is we've made things even worse in this complicated society for the individuals that are having struggles than ever before. And this is one of the things that's causing the difficulties today. And you could say, well, just vote Democratic. No, because if you vote Democratic, what happens is they go to the extreme as well then. Then they go ahead and get all these rights and everything. They go ahead and get all these rights and everything. And they argue to the point of ludicrousness about the rights, to the point where they're giving things that they can't even really give. I mean, like, you could do it in a secular society. You can say, hey, let's go ahead and make sure all these people have all these things, all these systems, you know, especially the ones about, you know, marriage and things like that. What you say in secular society doesn't mean anything anyway, but it means everything to them because they've abandoned anything larger than secular society. They're reaching out for anything they can get, and so it means a lot to them. What happens is it gets to the point of ludicrous where the other people on their side find these extreme examples that they can point to. And with all the greed taking away jobs from the people, if you get a guy coming along saying, hey, I'm going to fix all that, make it back the way it was, people are so desperate they believe it. A lot of them are already on drugs and finding other ways to pacify themselves. And if they could just find what they need, which is the monetary means to be a guy in a factory line, well, at least they'll be able to have what they want, right? This is where it's coming from. This is where the corruption then comes, gets in power, and doesn't do what they want. They can't even do what they want. There's too many people. The ways and the means and the methods and the way that the world is structured and the monetary things that the greed has caused has caused such a corruption that we're trapped in our own little trap. Now, the only way out of this trap that I can see is through the light of the Word. And in the same way that we can knock and the door will be opened, Conscious Counseling 101 tells you that by giving yourself the perspective instantly of the new mentality, you can be transformed. You can say to yourself right now, everything that is what is supposed to be. I accept it and I move past it. My life will change from this moment. And then make that happen. The power of the human being is to make that happen. The question is, once you've made that happen, how do you explain to yourself what you've done? And how do you prove to yourself and justify that something has truly occurred? Without the ability to see your Maker in front of you, without the ability to prove the power of Jesus, how do you make this happen? Well, that's where you put your energy. You make the choice first. You make the change first. You become instantly. Then you spend your energies showing yourself what you've become, learning what that means, and transforming your life through meaning and purpose and value that you never had before. What you're doing is you're learning what that means, but you're doing it right away. You're not waiting. You're not putting it off. You're not kicking the can down the road. And when you can do that, you're doing what Conscious Counseling 101 has for you. And this is drawn directly from the teachings of Jesus, but it's put in a practical means for daily life today. There isn't anything that I can offer you that wasn't offered 2,000 years ago. But I can help you in a regular sense. I can help you in a regular sense, and very few people that I can see, because I'm looking, are able to do this or see this. and are able to put their hand out there and try to do this. And I am doing it, and I'm willing to do it with you and talk to you about it and help you through and help you to understand what it means. If you'll simply reach out, you'll have a partner that can help with this for no cost to you, that genuinely cares. That's what I'm doing in Conscious Counseling 101, and I hope that you'll talk with me and share your life in that capacity, in my ability to help you. And that's my video for today.